being able to express myself.
Not being afraid of saying a wrong answer.
It kind of stems from my imagination.
I think about a flower, actually.
The biggest argument I have with groups that I talk to is how to define it. And I don't know how to define it.
I'm Jeni Britton Bauer from Jeni's Splendid Ice Creams.
Hello, I'm Heidi with Openheartcreatures.
Singer, songwriter, guitarist.
I write across a great many forms.
I encourage people. I do it in a variety of different ways. I have peer groups, groups of 15 CEOs who get together. They know each other really well, and I get them to give each other advice.
And inspiration comes from anything.
Most times it's through people that I feel inspired by. I love to surround myself with people that are also creative.
I've worked with so many people that have influenced me. I can't think of anyone who hasn't influenced me. The way I view it is everybody's a teacher. The clerk at the grocery, the toll booth collector. Everyone is a teacher. My goal is to learn something from everybody.
And things that foster creativity are daydreaming, letting your mind wander, exploring, the minutia of life.
Reading as much as possible, absorbing as much of the world as you can possibly stand, and then getting like 5 hours of sleep and getting up and doing it all over again.
Well, first of all, I'm constantly looking for inspiration. I'm very open to new things and new ideas, or old ideas that I'm looking at a different way. So I spend a lot of time reading, and usually when I read about something, I go really deep. It's not just one book, but it's multiple books by the same author, or in the same era, or one, fiction, several nonfiction, supporting things. And I do that for a long time, so a lot of times I'll get on these sort of paths for like a year, these little journeys, and always ice cream comes out of it somewhere along the line. It's funny, I'm actually inspired to a much lesser extent by food and what's going on in food and food trends. I'm more inspired in pop culture and things that are going on there, and then I turn it into food.
I sort of get an image, and I do a couple of drawings sometimes, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just come right in and start cutting fabric, and I just use the materials that I have. And it always changes and morphs throughout the process from the original idea to the finished product.
I tend to, when I get, and I think a lot of people are this way, when they get into the creative process, they lose track of time completely.
I've done novels in like a month, and I've taken a year to do a good poem.
I had this one essential oil that you couldn't do anything with. It didn't have a scent. It just had this physical reaction on your tongue, which was heat, because it was the essential oil of cayenne. One day I picked it up and I thought I could use it in a different way. I could blend it into ice cream. I bought chocolate ice cream and I mushed it in chocolate ice cream, and I took a bite, and so from that moment on I was hooked in ice cream.
I think for the most part, I just get an idea and then I just attack it, like as hard as I can, as fast as I can. I try to get that thing captured, and then maybe I'll polish it up later, but for all intents and purposes it doesn't exist until I've captured it. I think most people who write are just kind of struck with some emotional thing that has happened to them or whatever. Most people don't just say, well, I'm just going to be a writer today, and then they just start writing some phenomenal whatever, especially poets. I would venture to say that 80% of the poets that exist because they just had their hearts broken.
Necessity is the mother of invention. I think that when any of the writers we read, Harper Lee, when she sits down to write To Kill a Mockingbird, she has a question she's trying to answer for herself, not necessarily for the reader, for herself. What is that question? Well, you have to divine what that is.
In general, creativity is not one big idea, it's 100 or 500 small ones. If you're the person who can come up with the one big idea, you're the person who came up with 500 small ones to get there. Whether you're in math or science or anything, everyone would agree that's true. The people who have the most creative output are the ones who had the most failures, small and big, to get to that one thing. You know, this idea of the one big idea doesn't really exist, and I think there are people who are less creative who are trying to find that one big idea without going through, you know, the years it can take to get to it, and that stamina is, in some ways, you can sort of sum creativity of it too. I think it's like out of fear or something. I don't understand it. Wanting to be efficient, being afraid of other countries who are less creative, like China, for instance. But what they don't realize is that the Chinese are now asking us to teach them how to think creatively. They're asking, you know, CCAD and art colleges to help their young people think creatively, because that's a strength of America that America has.
It's a form of expression, and when we shut that down, you know, we're sending the message that it's not okay to express yourself.
But I believe I am on this planet to help people produce the best work of their careers, and I am trying my best to induce in them creative impulse.
There's no beating a really supportive teacher.
It's so important to keep the arts alive so that we can continue to be human.
And I'd like to play for you now the very first song I wrote when I moved to Columbus. It's a song called Take Me Back to Texas. And it sounds just like this. Missouri and Tennessee, they got a little town in Ohio where everybody being real good to me. Northern California, that's where the women take like wine. Will you take me back to Texas? I won't mind. Well, I went up to Oklahoma, on out to Michigan. I came back down through Chicago. I felt the cold wind blow again. I see smiling faces in all those places. I'm going back sometime. Will you take me back to Texas? I won't mind.
How you know that?